Welcome to Advisor Insider, powered by ETF.com. I'm your host, Jeff Benjamin, Wealth Management Editor here at ETF.com. And this week I'm talking with Jon Maier, Chief ETF Strategist at JP Morgan Asset Management. Hey, Jon, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. So happy to be here.
I want to talk about the new guide to ETFs that you guys recently launched. It's right up the alley of what we do here at ETF.com. We're always trying to educate and inform and cover all kinds of ETF news and angles. So give us a little idea. What is this guide about? This is I think you call it the first annual or the inaugural, right?
Yeah, this is our first guide to ETFs, which actually will come out and be updated on a quarterly basis.
Okay.
So JP Morgan also is known for its education, and this will be the fourth pillar in our educational programs behind Dr. David Kelly's Guide to Markets, Guide to Alts, as well as Guide to Retirement. The real purpose of the guide is to illustrate the role ETFs play in the broader markets, because it really has a major impact on our everyday functioning of our overall markets, which I'll talk about later. Educate and provide a better understanding of the mechanics of ETFs. Seemingly simple things like liquidity, transparency, and tax efficiency, which are not always so simple. And we can go pretty deep into those benefits with the guide.
Okay.
And
Well, what was the motivation behind creating this?
well, if you think about the ETF industry right now, it's touched about $10 trillion in assets in the US, probably about $14 trillion in assets globally. Given the size, scale, and impact to our the functioning of the broader markets, we thought it was time to come out with this fourth pillar of education behind some of our other programs. Really, because obviously we are focused on the ETF business as well. ETFs are just an easy access point for investors of all sizes, both retail as well as institutional. You can buy fractional shares. There's no minimums. So it's touching all parts of the investment ecosystem.
Can you give us a little overview on some of the key topics and sections in the guide?
Sure. We've broken out the guide into 6 different sections. The first section would be the overall ETF landscape, talking about some league tables, asset growth, some of the key milestones that have occurred over the past 30 years since ETFs have been traded in the US. The active ETF market, which has really grown over the past 5-6 years. Just catch this stat. Active ETFs are 8% of the overall assets, ETF assets, yet they're 30% of the overall flows this year. So they're taking an outsized portion of the flows. And it's a real big trend because of different regulatory changes that have occurred for the past 5 years. The fixed income ecosystem, that's an important and growing area. Different trends in the marketplace, whether it be thematics or model portfolios, as well as how ETFs work, the principles of ETF investing, and best practices when actually trading ETFs. So we have these 6 different chapters, which will iterate every quarter.
Yeah, I kind of see that where you're saying if you're talking about trends such as the flows into active ETFs, that's something that's probably going to be obviously going to be updated quarterly, but you're going to have some stuff there that's just going to be kind of static educational type stuff. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's fair. The principles of ETF investing and the best practices, they pretty much stay evergreen. Yeah, it could be tweaked here and there. The great thing about the guide is as the more we use it, the better we understand how folks are using the guide. So if we make something more clear over time, we will do that. If we get it also works both ways. As we talk to clients, as we talk to financial advisors, users of the guide, we gain insight from how the market wants to use the guide. And that will help refine it over time. It's a living and breathing document. It'll always change.
Yeah. Do you see this more targeted toward novice investors or financial advisors that are obviously the biggest users of ETFs, or is it the kind of thing that could appeal to multiple different, I guess, investor markets?
I truly think it has a home with a variety of different markets. First of all, it's available If you just Google guide to ETFs, JP Morgan, it's right there. So pretty much anyone can see it. And if they want to know
Mm-hmm.
more about ETFs, whether a novice investor or a financial advisor or a more sophisticated investor, it's certainly there. Certain slides are more geared towards novices versus the financial intermediary community. So I
Right.
really think it's all encompassing.
How do you think that this guide kind of stands out from? There's a lot of educational material out there, and obviously this is not one that uh, you can just click on an ETF and it's going to show you what it's done or anything like that. This is even though it is updated quarterly, it's a static document for those quarters, right? So how does this differentiate from other educational resources available right now?
First of all, it's agnostic. Many of the information out there is also agnostic, but
Hmm.
again, this will change over time. Forgetting that it changes every quarter, it's going to evolve with the market. So the ETF market has changed so much over the past 5 years with the introduction of active ETFs and different types of active ETFs, as well as other types of innovative, dynamic types of exposures. And this will keep pace with that. As the market changes, this will change. And
Hmm.
so I think that's kind of its superpower.
Okay. And what are some of the things that the guide, I guess, addresses in terms of current market trends right now in the evolving ETF landscape?
Well, first of all, one of the slides that I think is really important for most market participants to really understand is the role that ETFs play in our broader market. So we have a slide. It's actually Guide to ETF slide number 9, and it shows ETFs as a percentage of exchange volume.
Mhm.
And if you look over the past 15 years, you'll see the average is 28%. And during periods of market stress, you'll see that that volume increases as volatility increases. So what that's telling me is that the ETF becomes like a shock absorber. It absorbs liquidity into the market when potentially the underlying holdings in an ETF they don't they're not trading and they're somewhat illiquid. So the ETF is providing both liquidity as well as price discovery.
Hmm.
It's pretty important for an investor, particularly a financial intermediary, to understand the role that ETFs play in the broader market. So we want to get it's not that basic, but it's a key component in understanding the role ETF plays in the broader market.
Okay. And I know you mentioned this already, John, but where can people find it, this ETF guide, and is it free?
It is free. Um, it's you can Google it, guide to ETFs, and just put JP Morgan, and it'll
Uh-huh.
come up. I think it's a few. Just scroll down a little bit. You can sign up as a financial intermediary and receive the kind of the talking points behind each slide. So the concept of the guide is that each slide can tell multiple stories.
Hmm.
Um, it really depends how it's used and who it's used by.
All right. Well, more information is always better. And it sounds like you guys are going to be putting together something great every quarter. Looking forward to following that. I want to thank you, John, for being here and helping us out. That's Jon Maier, Chief ETF Strategist at JP Morgan Asset Management. I'm Jeff Benjamin, and this is Advisor Insider powered by ETF.com. I want to invite you to go to ETF.com for all your financial planning and ETF investing needs. Go to the Advisor Center. We've got a lot of stuff there specifically for financial advisors. If you have an idea for me to write about or talk about or interview you on a podcast, let me know. I'm easy to find, jeff.benjamin at ETF.com, or you can find me on X. My handle is at Benji Writer. Thanks a lot, and we'll talk to you next time. To our listeners who are retail investors or financial advisors, I'd like to invite you to participate in our newly released Global Investor Survey. Your responses will help shape the future of the ETF investing landscape and be released in an exclusive ETF report this fall.